really respect this Iowa team. I think they're really good. I think it's I don't think, yeah, I really believe it's the best Iowa team that we've played in our 3 years. And they were good last year. Last year they were, I think, just maybe a last minute. I think it was Tennessee that came down to the wire for the Sweet 16. So they were very good last year. But as I've always said, whenever you play them, Fran's got a great system. They play really, really hard at home. It's a different animal in a lot of ways because great home crowd and great environment. Their energy's terrific. I don't think they've lost since maybe November at home. There's a reason for that. Well-coached, tough, talented group. Obviously, Garza's having a great year, but they've got a lot of really good players that impact the game. You know, the coach's son, McCaffrey, he's a really tough kid that has a great feel for how to get his teammates involved and playing to win, and just you can't turn him over, and he's really tough and tough-minded. We've got a lot of other guys that really complement a guy like Garza.
When you're at this part of the season, you're able to sort of dial in on some rotations, and you're playing, you know, pretty set number of guys. What enables you to get to that point in the season? Is it just once you get in the Big Ten, you kind of have a better feel for guys? What does it take to identify roles like that and be able to get to that point of the season?
Well, I think it's a lot of it's what you go through together. You know, I think a lot of that guys kind of settle into roles, have a better understanding of what's expected of them, and rotations typically taper back by a player or two this time of year. Whatever it was going into it, typically tapers back to a player or two. So, and some of that also it's been a little bit fluid with us because of some injuries.
When you do settle in on some things, and it's been a little bit consistent here the last couple of games, do you have to have conversations with guys that find themselves on the outside, or if they maybe see the roles change a little bit? What's the communication like with guys to make sure that everyone's on the same page?
Yeah, I think you're always in communication, with guys. But listen, they understand that it's something that's earned, and there's a process and a time period that's different for everybody. But yeah, I think you're always kind of staying in. You value what everybody brings. You know, Danny Hummer's a guy that hasn't played a minute, and yet he's really valuable for us in terms of preparing our team. So he and Harry and those guys are really important, and yet they don't see the floor.
Garza didn't do a ton against you guys last year, especially in the second game, and now obviously he's in the National Player of the Year conversation. When you scout him right now compared to where he was a year ago, what's different about him from your eyes? Well,
I think he's just a year older, for one, elite shape. I think he's in incredible condition for a guy as big as he is. He's got tremendous touch. I think being a year older has helped him. You know, that doesn't always, but it's clear he put in tremendous work in the offseason with his conditioning, his fitness, his shooting. And then he's obviously incredibly physical. But I just think his motor is what people point to when they watch him that makes him so special.
And when just looking at your guys' starting lineup, I thought it was throughout the entire losing streak when you guys when things weren't going your way, you still rode Luther in the starting lineup, even when he wasn't giving you a ton offensively. And now it seems like in the past few games he's shooting better from the outside. Why did you choose to ride him in some of those tough moments, and what can you attribute this recent outside shooting to?
Well, I thought he was giving us some good things, and I thought his shot quality, while he was not efficient, but I thought he was, for the most part, taking pretty good ones. And I thought his attitude was good, in a good place. Again, similar to last year, I thought he looked a little fatigued to me. He has lost weight, so we're trying to monitor that a little bit more. He just looked a little bit run down, which I think affected his shooting performance. But in some of this, obviously, with DJ out, is we have three guards that are playing almost all of the minutes at two positions. So, we need those guys to perform at their highest level when they're asked to do that, and he's done a good job of that here of late. But his energy defensively did not change, which was the main reason we stuck with him.
Chris, how much freedom does Orange have to shoot the ball?
He's got the green light. Yeah, he's got the green light. Clay, just, whenever he's open. I thought he's actually taken better ones than he did when he was in limited, when Justin was more limited in his minutes. And some of that is guys who identify with shooting feel like they got to come and snap it off as soon as they get in the game. Not always the best for them, but he's settled into there are times where he'll go 5-6 minutes and won't shoot. He's just got to stay aggressive. He's supremely confident right now. Our guys have done a great job finding him.
Chris, with what you were just talking about with Luther, Dwayne and CJ at the moment are not shooting the three particularly well either. How much of that do you attribute to what you were just saying, that you have three guys, those two in particular, who are being asked to do a lot right now, and maybe if that's something you're conceding at the moment?
I think it's part of it. I think some of it is growing, growing into a different role. CJ, I think, learning our system better. And both guys both times have struggled at times to be as efficient as we'd like them to be or they'd like to be. So I don't think it's going to be an overnight thing for either player. And you can include Luther in that. I just think that's a growth process for all three guys because they've all kind of struggled with that throughout their careers.
With Dwayne, how different is it for a guy who really for the first half of the year was a pretty deadly kind of catch and shoot guy, and now he obviously has the ball more? Like how much different is that finding your three-point shot when you're in those two different scenarios?
Well, I think it does. His shots are coming at different places, and with the exception of kind of post kickouts, he may not be getting it, off the pass quite as much. Maybe it's coming more off the dribble. But I think it's something he likes, honestly. I think he enjoys the ball in his hands and being able to facilitate and see himself in that role of more of a combo. I think he's enjoyed that transition a little bit that's happened. That we were in the process of doing a little bit even when DJ was still with us, but it's certainly been more apparent now.
And I was asking Kyle and Justin about this when they were in here earlier, and I don't want it to come off the wrong way, but because I'm not making fun of the guy, but when Caleb has a play where he just loses the ball when he's going out for a dunk, and he's by himself in front of everybody, and it comes in a game where you win, and it didn't really matter. Can it be an important moment of levity at all for you guys when you're in the middle of a season where everything seems so serious? Obviously, you'd rather him score, but can there be any good that comes out of that?
Yeah. I think, listen, that's in those situations, I don't know that it does. I know I had people hit me up saying, Caleb's got to do 25 minutes of micing drills right after the game. Okay. All right. We'll move on. I think you don't want to embarrass a kid in that situation. He understood. He was in front of everybody. He understands he's got to go up with two hands and make the play and finish the play. Caleb cares about, doing the right thing. He's still learning and growing. So I think his teammates kind of had fun with him. I know he was probably a little embarrassed. Hopefully the next time he'll go and finish that play.
Will DJ play or attend this game?
No. I think there's a lot that has to happen before that's even in the conversation, medically and in terms of overall health. So no, that's not even been consideration.
Are you hopeful of getting him back this year, or is that?
Yeah, I'm really just outside of really focusing on our team. It's a valid question for sure. I would say, as it pertains to him, I'm hopeful that that we can get him on a path towards health, towards improved health. That's the only priority, and I think obviously we're late in the season, so you can draw your own conclusions on that. It's late in the year, and he's been away for a while. So, but if and when he returns, there's a lot that goes into when you leave for medical reasons. There's a lot that goes into being in any way acclimated back, really even outside of our hands, acclimated back into any type of organized activity.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get at. Was it's not as simple as like, okay, I'm ready to come back, so
Yeah.
I grab my uniform and I play.
Yeah, right. When you leave for, or when a player is kind of pulled away for medical reasons, specifically mental health, you're exactly right. There's very specific and extended protocol that goes into that, and it's to protect, right, the player, and it's pretty extensive. So. That's about as much as I can say on that.
Just one on Kyle Young. I know you recruited him at Butler. I know there's a lot to love about his game, but there's a perception when you're here, you can recruit a different kind of player. Would you have, if he's coming out of school now with his skill set, does he fit what you do here, or is he here because you were in a number crunch and you had him in a relationship and all that stuff?
Yeah, valid question. Absolutely. And I would certainly hope that we would never deviate from a young man like that is in our breadbasket or recruiting breadbasket or specifically in our state. But absolutely. Does he have things he has to work on like every player? And, sure. And did we understand there were going to be maybe some challenges offensively at times at this level? Sure. But absolutely. We would recruit him if we were here.
Okay, last one, Stephen.
This game
I'm
last
actually, if we want to go two more, because I don't have to go to film right away.
this game last year, was a pretty significant win given the circumstances of everything, and Justin, like with the confidence maybe it gave him because of the similar situation you guys were in January and how you've kind of rebounded from that. Does it feel similar as far as coming into this week with the two games you have lined up?
Well, yeah, I think every game's important this time of year. We're very, despite the records being somewhat similar, we're very different in terms of when you just look at the quality of wins across the board. It's a significant difference than it was last year. In a lot of ways, the numbers all, back that up. Having said that, like every game at this point of year for I think all of us in the Big Ten, we all look at being really, really crucial. But it is different. The seasons are very different, even though they can appear kind of on the surface to be similar in a lot of ways. When you look at the numbers, they're different. They're definitely different.
And just for clarification, he's probably not going to play again this year, but because of the closeness of where this game is at, is there an expectation that maybe he might attend the game? DJ might be there on Thursday?
I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't believe so.
What did you think when John Beilein went to the NBA about his ability to adapt, and what do you think that it's ending this quickly? And I wonder if there's this thought that, wow, that's the highest level, that's pure basketball. That itch that some guys have.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you asking me specifically on him or?
Just, all that.
Yeah, I think it was surprising. Sure, John's an incredible coach, and I think Coach Beilein's record speaks for itself. He's an incredible coach, and I think we all looked at it and said, "Hey, it's going to be an understandable rebuild there, and there'll be a different organization in 2 or 3 with John at the helm." But it didn't work out that way. Who knows the specifics of all of it? He'll land on his feet. I've got plenty of friends who are at that level, and we've had a lot of conversations about the differences that they appreciate about being at that level after having been in college, and some of the challenges as well. So it's an interesting conversation that we've had on occasion.
Because you did bring him up a few minutes ago with Danny Hummer, he's coming up on senior night for him. and he's a guy we don't see very much. How have you seen him make an impact? I mean, he joined the program shortly after you did, trying to just get bodies and things like that. What sort of impact has he made in his time?
Danny Hummer's been outstanding for us. He's been outstanding. We wanted to kind of add, if we could, an Ohio kid, and it just so happened, he's an Ohio kid that grew up just down the road at Upper Arlington, and he's been phenomenal for us, just in terms of his ability to push our players every day. He brings a level of an older body and a level of toughness that's really been needed for us. I can't say enough about him and his contribution.